The fortification happens when we reach about 5 to 9% of the alcohol, and the grape spirit has 77% of alcohol by volume. So essentially, we're going to produce a sweet style of wine with 19 to 22% of alcohol by volume, which in terms of systematic approach to tasting, this means that this is high alcohol. And at this point, I want you to really focus if you study for level 2 or level 3, because I know this is is sometimes challenging for students, that the alcohol levels for fortified wines are different than alcohol level for still wines. So, for example, low alcohol for fortified wines, it's between 15 and 16.4% alcohol, where medium is 16.5 to 18.4, and then high alcohol is 18.5 and above. So do keep that in mind. Those are the things that can be coming up on your multiple choice. If you're in level 3, you may have need to write about it as well in your tasting note, or recognize it in your tasting note for level 3. Later on today, I'm going to walk you through level 3 tasting note, and at the end, I'm going to ask you to actually let me know, what wine am I tasting? So in about 5 to 8 minutes, I'm going to give you a tasting note on one of the ports I'm going to taste today. So prepare yourself and let me know at the end. So we can use over 100 grape varieties for production of port, and the wines will be blended. Fermentation is in higher level of the temperature, 28 to 32 degrees Celsius. And as I told you before, it's a rapid fermentation. We have 2 days in traditional lagers or stainless steel, depending on the style of wine we're making. Indigenous yeast is often used for fermentation, but the more economical value wines will be using cultured yeast for the fermentation process. And the sweetnesses will be usually when we stop the fermentation, it's about 80 to 100 grams per liter of sugar. So in the winemaking, we have several ways we can approach it. So traditionally, food threading in lagarish, but we can use a mechanization as well. So on the bottom to the right, you'll see the traditional lagar. This is in Quinta do Noval. Actually, I was there at the moment when they were past the harvest. So you see an empty lagar, and we also have a robotic lagar. So robotic lagar, you'll see that on the bottom will imitate the work of human foot. So it actually allows for that threading of the grapes mechanically. You just set a computer on it, so you don't you're working with the cost of the production. Now, of course, initially you have to invest in the robotic lagar, but then later on, every year you're hiring less people to do the job. And you have to know, and it is an important part when we're discussing wine production, to think or include in your in the winemaking process the cost. You have to think of the cost of the winemaking. You have to think of the cost of the vineyard management, which is high in the valley with those steep slopes, and in most cases lack of ability to actually use mechanization. So you have to use manpower, which manpower will be one of the highest costs in the winery.